In November 2008, I defended my PhD dissertation, Systemic Constellations Work in Organizations, at the University of Tilburg in the Netherlands. And in this short video clip, I would like to explain to you why it is important to download the dissertation for free and use it for your own work, research, or studies. And I will divide this in why it is important for academics and students, and then also why it is important for business professionals. Well, first of all, for academics and students. As you can see here on the screen is quite a lot of information about Bert Hellinger's family constellations and some of its offshoots into systems, into management, into organizations. Here's an example of me using it at our university in Breda. Now, why should academics, researchers, students read my thesis? Well, because it's the first thesis in the world which studies organizational constellations and does this from a phenomenological perspective. Well, actually, I have to say it's the second one. Francesco Gomez in Madrid has done similar work, also using phenomenology, and he did that a little bit before me, but unfortunately his work is currently only in Spanish. Now, what does my dissertation do? Well, it describes several heuristics about organizations, which we could call systemic constellations work, and it describes a particular technique called the constellation. It also evaluates whether these heuristics and technique are effective and proposes that they are under certain conditions. Systemic constellations work deepens our understanding of organizations and enriches the palette of HRM, human resources management interventions. This is page 15 of the introduction. So what's clear in the dissertation is that I make a distinction between systemic thinking a la Bert Hellinger and others as a way of looking at the world, as a way of perceiving the world. And then there is also a specific technique which we call the constellation. And for some of you who've already been involved in one, you know it's a technique where we could use live people that are stand-ins or representatives, we call them in the Netherlands, of a system. And it's also possible to use little gadgets like pieces of paper or cups or all sorts of other ways to describe the system. So in my thesis, I explain the way of thinking, why it is effective and under which conditions, and I also call these conditions or some of these things that come out of this heuristics. Now, for those of you who don't know the word heuristics yet, heuristics are things that seem to work currently. They're not laws. Like gravity, we could call it a law. Yeah? It seems to always be like this on our planet. But heuristics are things we notice within a system that, yeah, well, this is kind of common for now, but who knows, maybe it disappears at some other time. And in the dissertation, I use phenomenology, which, by the way, is also kind of the heart and soul of the technique of systemic constellations. And I use participant observation as a method. Participant observation meaning I have been myself, or I am myself, a constellator. I have seen others do constellations, I've interviewed them, I've been a representative, a stand-in. I'm also doing traditional organizational behavior work, so I also have that background. And actually, my dissertation was research done over about 7 years, and being, for example, practically trained by Jacob Stam, the head of the Bert Hellinger Institute in the Netherlands. Also had the chance to do one workshop with Bert Hellinger himself. And in the dissertation, I use a diary explaining the different constellations I was in and reflecting about them. Now, why is this dissertation also interesting for business professionals? Well, because it can help you to tell your clients about the science behind this technique. So it gives you lists of examples of when constellations are successfully used. So you have tons of examples, and it also tells you, well, why this way of thinking makes sense and how you can embed it in the larger whole of science. I was quite happy to hear a few months ago that Barbara Malmström, a consultant operating from Finland, is actually using the PhD and giving parts of it to her clients. Now, I have one request. Download the PhD. Please do. You can do this for free for academic purposes. Let me know about it. Let me know that you're using it. I'm also willing to be a guest speaker or a trainer if you need me. If you are actually consulting paid clients, then I don't want you to give away the thesis for free, because it's meant for non-profit academic purposes, and then you can order a copy online. All the references are in this clip. Anyways, enjoy using and learning with this fascinating technique.